get to where they need to be. All right, so this only applies, I believe, to Sienna and Corbin, who have already RSVP'd that they will be there. So I will see you guys next Wednesday for a fun full day of testing. Yay! All right. And Corbin, I will look in my email when it's time for your part, and then I'll pull up your part and read it. Okay? Cool. All right. So, unfortunately, I was telling everybody no virtual classrooms next week because I will be here testing. Fun. All right. Anyway, virtual classroom schedule is updated for you, so make sure that you take a look at it. And then we'll go ahead and jump right in. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do this, I wanted to remind everybody I sent an email last night, and unfortunately, I didn't know about it until yesterday. But we are able to borrow books from the online library within the district. And so I had to go to a training and figure out how to do it and everything and get access to the site. But I sent you an email last night. I know all of you probably already went out and got the book from the library, but this will be helpful for the future. And I just want to show you, let me show you the email I sent you. It's called Overdrive. Okay,
Well, that
so
sucks. I just bought mine.
I know, I'm so sorry. And it was literally yesterday at 1 o'clock that I went and got this. But anyway,
Well, it's okay anyway. I was planning on buying a new book anyway.
well, there you go. So let me just show you the site and how easy it is. Oh, let me sign out so you see what it looks like. Okay. So you will log in with your very same username and password that you use for school. So I'll log in with mine, and of course you'll log in with your own. And then, oops, I have my caps lock on. I just kind of want to show you that even though you probably already have the book for this book club, it's really cool because you can search by subjects. You can find other books, is what I'm trying to say, and check them out. So you could search by subject, you could search by collection, or you could even go to like your reading level. Most of you guys are, around the sixth, or some of my sixth graders more like eighth grade reading level. So you can search for books in a lot of different ways. Most popular, obviously, pops up right away, etc. And then let's just click on Trouble with Chickens. Let's say I wanted to borrow this book. I would click on Borrow, and then there's two different ways to download it. So you can download it onto your Kindle or just like in a regular ebook. So if you're using like a computer or an iPad, that's what you would select, and then you would download it. So pretty easy, right? Yay! Okay, we're all excited. All right. Um, well, that's your digital library. It will come in handy in the future, I'm sure. All right, my friends. So, our enduring understanding. Basically, what we're doing is we're using different strategies that work best for us individually to understand a text. So, different book club jobs will make you use different parts of your brain, and some of them will be easier for you and some will be harder. But either way, they're all good reading strategies. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we will discuss our jobs one by one, and really the summarizer should probably go second. But either way, I always start with the discussion director. And I always start with that job because usually those questions really get us thinking and discussing. That's the whole purpose. If you're comfortable, it's probably easiest to turn on your microphone and just say your answer. But if you want to type into the chat, I will do my best to vocalize that for you. Okay. All right. So, looking at our schedule, oops, that's the other book. Let's go to Number of the Stars and we'll see who our discussion directors are for today. Okay, we had Patrick, who I don't think is with us yet, at least. Let me double check. Nope. Um, and we had Tyler. So, Tyler, would you like to start?
Should I read it or should I become the president and show? So
Do you have it on your screen to where I can make you the presenter, or do you want to just read them?
I just opened it, so if you want to do that, we could do
Yeah,
that.
that might be easier because sometimes people are visual learners and they want to see the question as well as hear it. So we'll look at your screen while you read it out loud.
Okay. Well, my three questions that I thought about was why did the Nazis take over their town slash country in the very first place? Second, why haven't the Americans come to help them yet? Because from the sounds of it, it's World War One or two happening.
Hmm.
And then, why is Mrs. Johnson so easily startled as if she was hiding something?
That's exactly okay. Those are really great. Let's start with your first question. So, what do you guys think? Why did the Nazis take over their town or country? And Jaden, you could put the Legos down. That would be helpful for us to focus. So, why do you think they took over our town or country?
Because they didn't like the Jews.
Right. Basically, what the Nazis' agenda was to get rid of everybody who were not like them. So, especially Jewish people. That was their main focus. A little bit of history for you. This is World War II, or the reason why, I should say, World War II started. All of these actions that the Nazis did is what started the war, which eventually they, of course, lost. All right,
With
and
the
the
rising
second
powers
question.
of America.
So, why do you think the Americans haven't come to help them yet?
Maybe they don't know about the town being taken.
It's possible because communication was a little bit slower back then. Um, had the war officially started yet? No, it hadn't officially started. So, America, I mean, we're a whole ocean away. At this point in the book, we're still trying to maybe persuade the Nazis to act differently. We haven't actually entered the war yet and started fighting yet. So that's why we haven't jumped in. And Corbin is saying maybe the Americans had their own problems. Yeah, of course they had their own problems. And if they're not part of the war yet, they're not going to probably do anything. So, all right. And the last question was why is Mrs. Johansson so easily startled? And do you think she's hiding something?
I was going to type it, but I kept on having too much trouble typing it. But I was going to put maybe is she with the resistance?
Oh, okay. So she's probably part of the resistance. And
I
Jaden,
just couldn't type it because I could not spell resistant part right.
oh, that's okay. Resistance. That means resisting against the Nazis and what they wanted to do. Um, so Clara is asking you, when was she startled? Give us an example.
Well, what I mean by startled is she's very like not fishy, but she's very cautious about everything.
Yeah.
Is what I should have said, but
I think we get the idea. She's very, very cautious. She's kind of always watching her back. And it is true that she is part of the resistance. And so she could get in a lot of, well, she could be killed if they found out that she was against the Nazis. All right, great, great questions, Tyler. Those were great discussions.
well, thank you.
I have a couple other questions that I will ask you guys since our other discussion director is not here yet. Can you see my screen where it says
Yes.
essential questions? Okay. So, my first question for all of you is how does Anne Marie behave around those German soldiers? And how does her friend Kirsty behave? Why do those sisters act so differently?
Well, then again, one's more stubborn, and
The little girl, Kirsty.
yeah, Christy, and then Anne. Well, she's been got used to it, kind of, I guess you could say. Christy was semi raised into it, so
That's right. Yeah, Christy. I think I might have spelled it wrong. She's younger, so she's kind of grown up with this Nazi influence the entire time. Anne Marie, however, is older and maybe a little bit more, well, she remembers how it used to be. And then Corbin is saying
See,
the younger one
well,
really doesn't understand what's going on. That's right. She really doesn't understand how mean and how dangerous these German soldiers really are. Go ahead. All right, let's ask maybe, well, you know what? I'm going to save the rest of my questions. And if we have time at the end, we'll come back to my questions because I really want to, give you guys time to share your stuff.
yeah.
All right. One last thought, though. Clara wrote in the chat, and you should write it to everybody, not just me, Clara, because these are good thoughts. Um, she's respectful and not detailed. That's Anne Marie, and she's known and she doesn't really care or mind. So Christy is a little bit younger and doesn't care. All right, so quotable quoter. We have Corbin, and he sent me his work, so I will share that. So let me go ahead and pull it up.
Yeah, but it does suck. The Nazis' homeland, I can't remember what most of them are called, but it used to actually be very beautiful states. But due to what they've done, they haven't turned out so well.
Right, I know. That's very true. All right, so Corbin chose a couple different sections that he wanted to share with us, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. So the soldier reached down and stroked her little sister's short, tangled curls. Stand still, Kirsty Anne Marie ordered silently, praying that somehow the obstinate 5-year-old would receive the message. But Kirsty reached up and pushed the soldier's hand away. Don't, she said loudly. Both soldiers began to laugh. They spoke to each other in rapid German that Anne Marie couldn't understand. She's pretty, like my own little girl, the tall one said in a more pleasant voice. Anne Marie tried to smile politely. Go home, all of you. Go study your school books and don't run. You look like hoodlums when you run. He chose this part because he thought it was really funny and interesting at the same time. And I think Corbin actually might be psychic because that tied in directly to that question I just asked you about how did the sisters behave differently around the soldiers. Um, this is beautiful, Corbin. This is the example right here of how different Anne Marie is respectful and scared, and Kirsty like slaps his hand away and doesn't care. Any thoughts from the group? Do you agree that this is an important and interesting part?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too. It definitely shows how different these characters are going to be throughout the entire book, not just this one section. This will be kind of a problem that comes up several times. All right, summarizer was Charlie. Charlie, are you ready for your summary? You have to turn your microphone on.
He may be typing.
He might be. His mic is not working. Well, do you have it on your screen so I can make you the presenter and then I will read it for you? He is clicking on it, so I think that means that I can make him. Well, pull it up on your screen and I will read it for you. Or you need to email it to me like right away. So remember, having your job like ready to go up on your screen is definitely important so that we don't waste any time. So we'll come back to you, Charlie. You let me know when you're ready, okay? All right, and so pull it up and you just send me a chat message when you're ready. Let's see who else we have. There were no other summarizers, so we'll come back to Charlie and we'll move on to connectors. Connectors would have been Sienna and Jade, who is not here. So we will definitely start with Sienna. And you can turn on your microphone and tell us some of your connections.
We kind of have no choice but to.
And Sienna, would it be easy? Do you have it typed? I can make you the presenter as well if that's easier for you.
I have it typed.
Okay, well, then we'll look at your screen because there again, it's sometimes easier to see it while you read it as well. Okay.
So my first connection is a while ago. I read a book called Hannah's Suitcase, and it was also about the Nazi and how they were taking away the Jews.
Right. Good. So that's a text to text connection, and that's very powerful. Good job.
And then the other connection is I read a book where there was someone who went missing from their shop because someone went missing from their shop in the third chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And make a prediction. What do you think happened to
Really?
that person who
Thank
got
you.
taken away?
That's my favorite gum.
I think they took them to one of the persecution camps.
Yeah, they did. They took him away to one of the camps, concentration camps. That's right. Great connections. Um, just because it wasn't your job doesn't mean that maybe you didn't make a connection while you were reading as well. So, did anybody else have something to share? Maybe a connection that they made?
Um, this isn't too much of a coincidence, but one day, my mom and dad, we were all at the shop, and well, it turns out we were only driving back with my dad. We did, because my mom had to sit in the back due to, like some stuff while we were moving up in the other front seat, and well, it turns out we accidentally left her, so we had to go and pick her back up.
Oh, well, yeah,
Because
that's
she
a connection.
Yeah, because she ended up going to go grab some cookies, and well, Dad didn't. We didn't hear him, and we were going to the car, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, here's my connection for you. Um, April, the month of April, is actually kind of an awareness month about what happened to these Jewish people. Um, and when I was in eighth grade, I went to Washington, D.C., and I got to see the Holocaust Museum. So, the Holocaust Museum is a museum all about what happened to the poor Jewish people in those concentration camps and just kind of about the war in general. So, that's my connection for you is that um, April definitely is the month to remember. So, all right.
The holiday.
Yes, good connections. Who was my illustrator? Let's see. Jaden was the illustrator. So, Jaden, why don't did you do it on screen or do you want to hold it up to the webcam? He's holding it up. Okay. All right. Show us what we're looking at or tell us what we're looking at.
Your mic's
Okay,
not
so this was
working.
supposed to be of the police actually the Nazi catching Anne Maria.
There you go. All right. That's a good description or a good picture. You can see that they were very, imposing, kind of scary figures. They didn't have a lot of compassion. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are not so happy anymore.
No. And Jaden, you had typed into the chat just a minute ago that your dad had told you last night. What did he tell you? Maybe it was a connection that you were going to share.
About the concentration camps.
Oh, he told you all about the concentration camps. That's right. And Clara pointed out that before the war was official, they called them relocation camps. But really, they were the same thing. They were terrible and
Yeah.
evil.
Well,
So yeah, this is my
I
picture.
actually my neighbor back in Kentucky was a Jew, and she went to camp but survived.
Oh, and there are some people who are still alive who,
Yeah,
were
she
survivors.
she's obviously older though, but
Yeah. All right. It looks like it's time for Clara, our word wizard. Clara, would you like me to make you the presenter?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at Clara's screen.
this gun's gonna
Okay.
So
Let's see.
remember, her job was to find six interesting or hard or new or different type of words. Oops. There we go.
So I chose 6 words,
Cool.
and the first one I thought was kind of a funny word to me. I thought
Hoodlum.
it was yeah. So it means gangster slash thug, and it was on page 5, and I used the sentence um in here that it came from.
Yeah.
So it starts, "You look like hoodlums when you run."
That's right. Hoodlums.
Yeah. And
say.
then number 2 was one that I heard of before, but I wasn't quite familiar with it. So I looked it up, and it was on page 10, and it means lack of emotion or no emotion. And so the sentence is, "She glanced through the window down to the street corner where the soldiers stood, their faces impassive beneath the metal helmets." So they
Hmm.
had no expression.
Exactly. And that kind of reiterates what I was saying about those German soldiers. They were brainwashed into being very cruel and to not having any emotion for
Yeah.
people and what they were doing to people.
I mean, I mean, literally, like their whole skin is just completely like gray. There's no joy or like anything inside.
No, no, they were severely pretty much brainwashed into being pretty evil.
Pretty much.
So number 3 I thought was a pretty interesting word. And I've never heard this before actually. It's Therese. I don't
Um,
know how to pronounce that.
Trousseau, it's a French word. Trousseau.
Trousseau. Um, so it's a household linen of clothing used for a bride on page 14. Mama had been crocheting that evening 3 years ago. The lacy edging of a pillowcase, part of Liza's. I forgot how to say it again.
Trousseau. So basically,
Trousseau.
it's like when people are going to get married or whatever, especially back then, a lot of times people will make new bed sheets for them and new linens, and so that's what she's doing. She's like crocheting pretty, pillowcases and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then number 4 is swastika.
Swastika.
Uh,
Hmm.
swastika. Um, I thought it was a very interesting word. A figure like a symbol normally used in the old world times, and this was on page 21. Mama, it had a swastika on it.
Hmm.
So I
And
think
if
that
you
was when they saw the button shop closed, and they were looking at the sign, and they couldn't read it, but they were trying to see. They noticed that there was a sign on the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't the swastika like that X kind of type thing that the Nazis have on their flag?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. It is that symbol. And what is sad about it is that it used to be, like you can see here, it used to be an old world symbol. And it wasn't evil and associated with the Nazis by any means. And actually, I don't even remember what it meant. It's probably like strength or power or something. But then the Nazis took it over. And now,
And well,
obviously,
and then it turned into a different type of strength or power.
yeah, now it's associated with definitely an evil type of, feeling.
So number 5 is disdainfully. Um, so I have heard this word before. I wasn't quite familiar with it, so I looked it up, and it means showing disrespect.
Mhm.
Um, of That's the description of disdainful. Basically, disdainfully is it's the same thing.
Right.
Um,
but it was on page 29 and was she took her new shoes, holding them disdainfully, and put them on a chair.
Yeah, she didn't like her shoes because they were made out of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather have that than an old pair of leather that is pretty much gluing my toes together.
True.
Yeah, but I guess she liked the leather shoes better because they're a little bit better quality, but then
Yeah.
um that was pretty much taken away from them, so they made shoes out of fish scales.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
pretty
I mean,
much
then
they had
again,
to do what they had to do because the Nazis took over all of the supplies for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to stores and seen $1,000 leather shirts.
Yeah, yeah, that's extravagant, but they obviously did not have that luxury during these times.
Yeah, they also took away Christie's favorite cupcakes with pink frosting.
They did.
Yeah. Why the
Yeah.
cupcakes?
Something that matters to a 5-year-old for sure because well, there was no more sugar to be rationed out
Well,
because it was given to the
cupcakes,
Nazis.
sugar, and
Yeah.
lollipops are 5-year-olds' main thing to get.
Definitely.
So number 6 is the last one, and it's belligerently.
Mhm.
And this one was a very interesting word. I haven't heard it before. And it means warlike. Um, and it was on page 31. I did it too, she said belligerently.
Yeah, so it's kind of confrontational. Oh,
Oh.
What is that?
major noise from Charlie there. We're gonna mute you for a second, buddy.
It's probably
Um,
his mic. He's probably trying to fix it.
yeah. So belligerently is definitely a confrontational kind of mean way of doing or saying something.
Yeah.
All right. Charlie, are you ready to share your summary? Yes. All right. Can I make you the presenter? Yes. All right. Perfect. Okay, we're
I
gonna
guess.
watch Charlie's screen here in a minute.
Charlie. Oh, Charlie Brown.
Okay, we're ready whenever you want to read it. Oh, right, your mic is not working. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I will read it. So the main character, Anne Marie, and her little sister, Kirsty. So basically, I think he did this pretty quickly. He's maybe not using complete sentences, but we know that those are the main characters. There's also the best friend, Ellen. Ellen is going to have some troubles coming up here in the near future. Anybody want to make a prediction about what might happen with Ellen?
She's probably going to get taken, and then her friend's going to like save her in some sort of way.
Maybe. Jaden, turn on your microphone and give us your prediction.
I think she's going to be taken to a concentration camp.
She probably will be, or something, or they're going to have to run away or do something because she is definitely from a Jewish family.
But do you think it could actually work for a while if they actually like disguised her and pretend that she was Anne Marie's sister?
I
Well,
think
can I
so.
make a prediction?
Yeah.
Well, what I have a feeling is going to end up happening is the two that saw them running in the street like 30 pages ago are going to come to the door and notice her eventually.
Oh, that's possible too. And Clara had another kind of cool prediction about how they might save her for at least a little while. Anyway, they live in Copenhagen during the war, where or basically before the war, but soldiers and guards were taking over everything. Their resources began to become rationed, like we were talking about. They didn't have electricity, heat, or food a lot of times because everything went to the soldiers. The soldiers were mean to Jews, and Ellen is a Jew. They elect her to hide. Oh, they elect to hide her and pretend she is Anne Marie's sister. Okay, so that's what they're going to end up doing. All right, so very good job, everyone. I'm going to change the presenter back to me. My connection. Oh, never mind. I've already shared my connection. I'm I'm crazy. I'm losing my mind. That was the last group that I forgot to share. Um, I want to make sure that everybody knows what they need to do for next time. And you have over a week, so there should be no excuse not to have it ready to go. You only have to read 3 chapters. If you want to be, if you want to read a little bit ahead, that's totally fine too. But this is what you have to do. And then, of course, do your next job. So let's take a look at our schedule again and make sure that you know your job for next time. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah, and I'm seeing something going on in the chat right now about somebody who's Jewish or whatever. Guys, this was in the late 1930s, early
Yeah,
1940s.
no, Charlie's brother is a Jew.
Yeah, and that's totally cool. I mean, and he's gonna be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's 2014, so no worries. Okay, all right, guys. So for next time, take a look, find your name, trace it over, make sure you know what you're responsible for. And then in the meantime, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. And that's all that we have for today. You guys did a great job.
Yeah. Well,